Well, they never saw this one coming. Activists love to act like they have all the answers, especially when they step in front of a camera. They come in confident, ready to preach, expecting the host to nod along, but what happens when the interviewer doesn't just sit there and actually pushes back? Well, that's when things get interesting. From threats of legal action to eating meat in front of vegans, today we're covering some of these moments and you don't want to miss a second of it. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
You said that on national TV.
What I stand by...
You stand by we should all get rid of our pets.
What I stand by is that you should look at the women who are dying in Sudan.
Do you answer questions?
Danica,
do you answer questions?
I'm here to actually
Is this what passes for journalism when you're not hacking into murdered children's phones?
Oh, OK. So, unfortunately, you've just committed a very serious libel, because that was another newspaper, which if you were slightly more intelligent and well-informed, you would have known that allegation, which is made against me most days on Twitter by idiots like you, is actually a disgusting lie. So here's your chance to now apologise for a disgusting lie. Are you prepared to do that?
Absolutely not.
OK, well then, if I were you, I'd have a chat with your lawyers after the show and see how they react to what you've just said.
So do you think we should be having grown-up conversation about...
Well, I don't have any money.
Well, I don't think spewing disgusting, defamatory lies about something that I had nothing to do with
well,
is actually what I would call a grown-up situation.
I agree.
You want to talk about grown-up situation? You want to talk about grown-up situation?
Why don't you shut up for a minute?
For a bit of context, Piers Morgan has long been accused of phone hacking, or at least knowing people who engage in it to get insider scoops on celebrity scandals. These stories were then published in UK tabloids. However, the infamous phone hijacking of the child happened in 2002 under News of the World, while Piers was actually the editor of the Daily Mirror. See the problem? The timeline doesn't add up, but that hasn't stopped activists from pushing the narrative. Truth rarely matters to them when they see an opportunity to smear someone, and let's be real, Piers has said and done plenty of controversial things that people can criticize him for without resorting to these shaky accusations. But hey, why let facts get in the way when outrage gets more clicks? Next, we have Piers shutting down an activist from a vegan group who decided to vandalize a cultural landmark, and he wasn't having any of it.
Do you eat avocados?
I eat a plant-based diet,
Do you eat avocados?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Great. Do you know how avocados and almonds get made?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yes.
So you realise that in California, every year, for 6 weeks, they fly in billions of bees to create your almonds and avocados, and in that process, several billion bees get murdered. This is a bee. Right? That's a bee. That, last time I checked, is a living animal. Billions get slaughtered so that you, sitting here, pontificating in between smashing up our buildings, so that you can have your almonds and your avocado. And I say to you, why don't you care about the little guys?
Can I say that
It's total hypocrisy, isn't it? You don't care about bees being murdered?
Will you let me speak, Piers?
Huh?
Will you let me speak? I'd really
Why are you
like
laughing? It's not funny.
This young lady is a member of Animal Rebellion, a group known more for its ridiculous protests than any real activism. Just a day before this interview, they had already caused chaos by spraying Big Ben with white paint and pouring milk all over the streets near the UK's parliament. Because, you know, nothing says save the animals like wasting gallons of milk that came from, well, animals. Piers made a solid point about bees, and instead of engaging with it, she just laughed it off, making her so-called activism look much more questionable. If you're going to claim to fight for animals, maybe don't dismiss concerns about a species that plays a crucial role in our ecosystem.
The most comprehensive study on food and the climate that has ever been done before has said that animal products, that's farming, animals and fishing, is the leading cause.
Is a bee an animal?
It surpasses, I'm not finished, sorry. It surpasses...
Ola, is a bee an animal?
It surpasses...
Is a bee an animal?
Piers,
Is a bee an animal?
It surpasses all...
Ola, is a
all
bee...
plant-based options.
Is one of these things an animal?
Of course a bee is an animal.
If a bee's an animal, why are you slaughtering them?
Why are you not talking about the most important issue that is facing our planet today?
Because it's rank hypocrisy.
It is
isn't
not
it?
hypocrisy.
I meet so many vegans who devour avocados and almonds and don't seem to realise it involves the slaughter of billions of bees.
Both almonds and avocados are less damaging to the planet.
Oh, they're less damaging. And what about how they get flown here from California? What about how they get trucked across Europe?
That study in Oxford, that is exactly what it is about.
No, anyway, look, I'm starving and you're not going to persuade me. And my response to you destroying all these things is to have a Big Mac. Because you know what? It's a free country, it's a democracy, and I'm allowed to eat meat, and I'm certainly allowed to eat meat when someone who kills bees to feed their avocado habit minds.
What we're asking is for the government to support farmers.
And in case you're wondering, Piers actually took things a step further in a separate interview by eating a steak right in front of another member from the same group, and honestly, these are just hilarious. Watching the reaction as the food's brought in is entertainment at its peak. These activists think the whole world should survive on kale and tofu, and anyone that dares to enjoy a steak is some kind of villain, which is just crazy. Next, we have a bit of an old activist who, besides being rude, well, they're a big fan of doomsdayism.
What was the point of ruining people's evening at the theatre last night? 200 quid a ticket, some people had paid. What was the point of that?
Well, I thought you might ask that, but I also wanted to just say I only came on today to see if you're still lying to your audience, and
bless.
you still are, denying truth, denying what actually was in your own news broadcast. Do you watch your own news?
I do watch my own broadcast, but I don't actually have to agree with everything else that's broadcast because I think we should be allowed to have our own views based on the facts.
So the facts. So let's deal with the facts.
Could you just first answer the question I asked you, and then you can come on. We've got plenty of time. Answer the question I've asked you.
I'm glad we've got time, but just let me finish what I was saying.
No, I'd
about
like you to answer the
news.
question I asked you, and then you can talk about that.
Yeah, the basic idea of an interview is to answer the questions being asked, not turn it into a personal TED talk on how amazing you are. It's always the same routine with these activists: deflect the question, avoid giving a real answer, and instead ramble on about how we're all going to die in the next 30 minutes. Drop a like if you think it's like watching a politician dodge accountability, but somehow even more insufferable. She was also so rude, the host didn't get to complete the questions, which led to this.
You're saying that we've got a problem with possible starvation. If we've got a problem with crop failures and everything's going to go horribly wrong, we're all going to be starving to death because of climate. Let me finish the question. Even if you're not going to answer it, let me finish it.
Well,
Fiona,
I'm quite happy to answer your
I asked you a really
question,
simple
but I was a bit
question.
shocked
Have
by your
crop
lies.
Has the amount of food produced in the world gone up or gone down in the last, say, 10 or 20 years? Up or down?
The amount of food that we
It's gone up hugely.
The amount of food that we are able to produce on a planet that is covered by floods and wildfires.
It's not covered by floods and wildfires.
Well, I don't know what you've been watching, but
there have always been floods, there have always been wildfires, and there always will be.
For a presenter, you are horribly out of touch. I'd be ashamed if I was talking that crap and I was
please don't use that language on air. Please, apologies to people listening at home.
Could you stop stirring me up to do that? You've got
I'm sorry. So I'm responsible for you using bad language and for the end of the planet. That's a lot of responsibility for one afternoon.
I know some of you might say the host was heckling, but sometimes the best way to handle a person speaking over you, well, it's just to give them a taste of their own medicine. Even Newton advocated for this. Remember his second law? Well, we just watched a live demonstration of it. I'd love to know which one of these moments was your favorite, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to see these amazing takedowns, please share the videos with them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.